Buongiorno. Good morning from Rome. I have been obsessing about St. Peter's Basilica ever since I decided to come on this trip, wanting to walk through their holy doors. Today, we are finally going inside the Basilica. I've been in Rome for 4 days. I get to walk through the holy doors and I get to climb inside that dome.
It is only a 5-minute walk from my apartment to St. Peter's Square. I chose my apartment because I could easily walk to St. Peter's Square. This morning I had to get up way earlier at 6 a.m. Mind you, Rome is 6 hours ahead of where I live in the United States. So this is super early for me to wake up. The previous day, I didn't even get up until 1 p.m., but I'm on my way to meet the tour group, and it's going to be fantastic. I'm going to learn so much about the square and the basilica.
Little tip about St. Peter's Basilica, go early. It's 7 a.m. and no one is in line, literally. Look at that. There is no one here. Nobody's in line. Don't come later because if you do, you're going to be standing in line for 1, 2, or 3 hours. Why would you do that on your vacation? That's like standing in line for a roller coaster. Ugh. We all buy skip the line passes at amusement parks. So go early and look, you'll get right into St. Peter's Basilica.
I want to freeze this shot and talk about it for a second. On the far left is where they were having crowds line up to enter the basilica, but on the day that I did my tour, they had the crowds lining up on the far right. Now, the door that you see on the far right, that is where you enter the holy doors. And you can go back through the holy doors to those doors that you see on the right, or you can go to the left as you're looking towards this, which would be your right as you're exiting the basilica. What's amazing is that no matter how many days I've come here, I cannot see the holy door from here. It is too dark.
This is the moment I've been waiting for when I can walk through the holy doors at this basilica. I am so excited about it. I booked an early morning group tour so I can learn more about the basilica, climb that dome that I've been taking tons of pictures of, and go beneath the basilica to learn more about the crypts and all that kind of stuff. So I'm really not into that kind of thing, but I'm excited to learn more and just so blessed to have the opportunity to be here and to do this.
An interesting fact you may not know as we're looking at this is that the cross at the top of the dome is a direct alignment with the canopy inside, which is over St. Peter's tomb. So all of those, the canopy, the cross, and St. Peter's tomb line
As
up.
I
I
was
was looking at this taking pictures.
saw this couple, Americans, who were confused about where to go. I was able to help them out because I've been here for so long. And then someone else also asked me for assistance in trying to find Vatican City and what this basilica was called. So I was able to help them too. Happy to help, as always.
I am so happy this is a small tour group. We checked in, about 8 of us, and then made our way back towards St. Peter's Square, which is where the group tour began. And just fascinating information about the square. Like these gigantic pillars right here, there are 2 colonnades of gigantic pillars like this, and they are called the arms of the church, embracing Christianity. I never knew that before. We also learned that the almost identical twin fountains in front of the basilica, the first one was designed by Maderno, who's the architect of the facade of the basilica, and the second one was designed by Bernini almost 60 years later. And the story of this obelisk is fascinating. It is the only one in Rome without hieroglyphics. It was stolen from Egypt and placed here around 40 AD. Unbelievable. How did they even move it back then? It weighs over 330 tons and is the second highest in Rome behind the one at St. John Lateran. Bernini, who I talked about earlier, who did one of the fountains, was also the architect of the square. The colonnades are made up of 284 columns and is completely made out of travertine. And if you stand in certain areas on these discs in the square, you cannot tell that they are 4 columns deep. You can only see one row of columns. The rest of them are hidden.
Okay, so here we go. Right here, we're standing on the marble. And look, you cannot see the columns. It looks like there's just one set of columns. Isn't that cool? I'm like the only one doing this. Look how cool that is. That is so cool. Wow, that's really cool. You can do this on either side. This is one of the cool things that you can do, and guess what? There's no crowds around me. Look at this. No one is around this optical illusion marble thing. No one is around here. I'm the only one doing this. So cool.
There's also fascinating history about the building of the front facade of the basilica right here in front of the dome. It was built by Maderno, who did the first fountain. It's built out of tavertine, and it was built in the 1600s. The tour I did is in the description below. This was a fabulous tour. I would highly recommend it. We then made our way to the papal tombs. Upon entering underneath the arch, and here is the lesser known fact that I'm bringing to you in this video, you have to pass by Papist Joan, who is shown here wearing papal clothing. Now, how was this possible? So, Joan dressed as a man so that she could enter the monastery, be a monk, and become a pope. And legend has it that she was for 2 years until she was finally caught. She was born in the mid 800s, and her father wanted her to have extensive education, and so she did. And this helped her disguise the fact that she was a woman. She was elected by the people as Pope Benedict III's successor upon his death. Apparently, she died on the streets during an Easter procession from St. Peter's Basilica to St. John Lateran. This is quite a distance. I walked it. Legend has it that the papal chair, which has a hole in it and is hidden in the Vatican Museum, was used after this happened for purposes of determining whether someone was male or female. So obviously, you can guess what they were doing with the papal chair. We make our way through here underneath the basilica to the papal tombs. And the most important grave under here is St. Peter's, of course. And if you remember from before, I showed you how the cross lines up with the tomb on top of the dome. St. Peter's Basilica was literally built on top of, centered on top of St. Peter's tomb, his grave. So he was crucified around 67 AD in this exact same area of where the basilica stands today. And this is his tomb. How cool is that? Now remember, Jesus called him his rock, named him his rock. So all of this ties together. Some 300 years later, Constantine builds a church right here and establishes the religion. The significance of the church and the religion and the building of St. Peter's Basilica, and yes, there's been many transformations after that and changes, but the significance of it all and the religious history and implications and how everything lines up from his tomb to the canopy to the cross is one of the most significant things that you can see when you're here at the Basilica. And my exact tour that I took is in the description below. We then make our way from the papal tombs up the stairs and inside the basilica. And this is so cool because once you get to the top of those stairs, you can see the canopy, and the canopy is directly above St. Peter's tomb. There wasn't one person who wasn't awestruck. And it's hard to tell, but the canopy is directly positioned underneath the dome.
Baldacchino or canopy is 95 feet high and is made of bronze, and Berdini was commissioned to create this when he was only 26 years old.
Another interesting fact our guide pointed out is the bees that are buzzing around the olive leaves on the canopy. They represent hard work, dedication, eloquence, and associated with the virgin birth and a sign of purity of the Pope. There is so much to look at. I spent all day at St. Peter's Basilica. So while you're there, don't forget to look up. It's hard to miss. The ceiling is 150 feet tall. The dome is 448 feet tall from the base of the basilica to the cross that is on top of the dome. There is so much going on inside this basilica. It is information, architectural, beautiful mosaic overload. You can easily get lost in a day here. From the massive pillars that hold up the dome, to the niches that hold relics such as the spear that supposedly pierced the side of Jesus while he was on the cross, to fragments of the real cross of Jesus, to Veronica's veil with the imprint of Jesus on it, to the bronze statue of St. Peter. You used to be able to go up to the statue and rub Peter's foot, but so many people did it that his toes are actually missing, and so now it's roped off. There are so many other important artifacts as well that I saw while I was here at the Basilica, including the Tomb of the Innocent, the Throne of Peter, the tomb of Saint John the 23rd, which is kind of disgusting, and of course, La Pieta, Michelangelo's finest work, some say. And this is the only work of art that he did where he actually signed his name, and you can see it on Mary's sash.
And if you take time to really study this piece of art by Michelangelo, you can almost feel the anguish of Mary with the death of her son. And you can feel how much Jesus is just in her arms, completely limp, and how flowing this piece is, even though it's made out of marble. It's really an amazing piece of work.
Like I said, I spent all day here. There are endless artifacts and relics inside the basilica, including the monument to Alexander VII, representing charity, justice, prudence, and truth. I was also fascinated by the many mosaics that were throughout the basilica. I mean, these are made of teeny tiny tiles. And I try to show you here just how small these tiles are. I mean, they look like paintings, but then when you zoom in, you see that they're made of little teeny tiny tiles. It's amazing. I spent all day here. My son was named after the first disciple, Matthew, the first book of the New Testament. And so I took some time to take pictures of St. Matthew. He was a tax collector before being called by Jesus to serve and be a disciple of his. So I took some time to take photos of those mosaics and the statue of him. And that is my reminder to you that if you discover something that is significant to you, that speaks to you, or if you have something significant to you, that you spend some time with that item, getting to know it while you're there. Then we climbed the dome, and that was amazing. I mean, the stairs climbing the dome are super tight. If you're claustrophobic, I wouldn't recommend it, but it is highly worth climbing the dome to get the perspective of Rome and the perspective of St. Peter's Square. It's really beautiful up there. I spent probably a couple of hours up on the roof just overlooking the entire city of Rome from every angle. It's a 360-degree view, and I would highly recommend it. Again, I will put the link to the tour that I took in the description below for the dome tour. But of course, I was here to walk through the holy doors to enter the holy door. And so once inside the basilica, because we did come up from underneath, from underground, because we took the tour underground of the tombs, I had to exit the Basilica in order to enter through the holy doors. And they have an entire line of people and a really good directional path for people to enter through the Basilica and go through the holy doors. I will say, in comparison to the other holy doors that I entered, this is a massive amount of people entering through the holy door. So you are entering in mass. It is not really the opportunity to be able to stop and take photos and take videos and to take a picture of yourself at the holy doors. And it really was hard to have a spiritual connection here just because of the massive amount of people that were entering. The Porta Sancta, or Holy Door, is only open every 25 years during the Holy Year, during the Jubilee. The last time it was opened was in 2000. The Holy Door at St. Peter's Basilica is called the Door of Great Pardon. It represents God's mercy, and in the panels, you can see man's sin and redemption through his mercy. Each door represents what you read about in the Bible when Jesus says, "Knock and the door shall be opened to you. Ask and ye shall receive. All those who enter will be redeemed." That is the symbol of the Holy Door. Each panel of the Holy Door at St. Peter's Basilica represents a scene of redemption, and you can find this on the Catholic Diocese website. You can find information on this. And so you can see why it is so popular for people to enter through the Holy Door. They want to feel redeemed, and they want that symbol of redemption for their sins. I, too, am no different and wanted that as well. So while there were hordes of people entering through the Holy Door at St. Peter's Basilica, it didn't make the significance any less more important than the other holy doors in Rome. And I would still highly recommend putting this on your bucket list for 2025, as well as the other holy doors in Rome that I went to. To watch my other videos entering through the holy doors of St. John Lateran, St. Mary Major, and St. Paul outside the wall, those videos are in the description below. And also, please like, subscribe, and share this channel. Your engagement is what helps the channel out and helps me be able to bring content to you. Thank you.